Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you wherever you are in the world. I am Tigress Osborn. I'm the Executive Director of NAAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, and welcome to the NAAFA Webinar Series. In today's episode, we have special guest Mary Lambert, who's going to talk to us about, Mary's a Grammy-nominated performer who is going to talk to us about her experience in the entertainment industry and her experience with fat liberation. And then at the end, we're going to have a little mini concert with Mary, and she's going to sing for us, including a not yet released song. So it's a very special day here in NAAFA world. Thank you all for being with us. Before we get started with Mary, for those of you who are new to NAAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance was started in 1969 and has worked towards changing perceptions of fat and ending size discrimination through education, advocacy, and support for over 54 years. We are the co-founders of the Campaign for Size Freedom, which elevates the conversation around the need for legal protections against size discrimination and helps support jurisdictions that are trying to pass those kinds of laws. So you can find more information about us at NAAFA.org or follow us on your favorite social media at NAAFA Official. And you can find the Size Freedom campaign on our website. Just click the Size Freedom tab. Be sure that you take a moment to sign the petition for size freedom so we can let your legislators know that this is something that you support, and that we can let the media know that there are thousands of people across the country that are behind this work. We could not bring the NAAFA Webinar Series to you without the generous support of our donor community. So thank you to all of you who contribute to us financially so that we can keep these webinars free and available to our community virtually and with the support of Pro Bono ASL. Even though Pro Bono does lots of pro bono work out in the community, we do compensate our interpreters and their administrative team for their time. Please support their work directly at probonoasl.com. And please continue to support our work so that we can keep bringing this type of programming to you. We have one other really exciting webinar coming up in July, which will be our summer virtual brunch, and will feature our fantastic brunch team of Matt Simcoe as host and Danielle Garcia with some craft or food tips for us for summer brunches. And also this month's summer brunch features our friends from Drag Story Hour. So please register for that at NAAFA.org. And be ready for August, which is Fat Liberation Month, with lots and lots and lots of other virtual programming coming your way. So let's get into it with Mary.
Yay!
I think we're going to cover a lot of your bio as you tell us your origin story. So rather than give that introduction, I'm just going to reiterate that Mary is a Grammy-nominated performer with some top hit dance songs and some other songs that are beloved in lots of different communities. And Mary, tell us how you got started.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So I was always a singer-songwriter. I feel like I was born singing out of the womb. My mom is a singer-songwriter, but she has pretty serious stage fright. So she was always like, how are you on stage, like singing so freely? So I'd always just loved performing. And I was raised in an environment that was, I lived in a violent home, and, songwriting for me was a form of survival. It was a way to heal myself. And it taught from a really early age that there's not one way to heal, and there's not one way to grow. And I really do attribute my adjustedness, my acclimation to the rest of the world, to songwriting and to art. It was pivotal for me. And I was diagnosed bipolar when I was about 12. I was always a bigger kid. And I experienced some early trauma and for me, I just didn't ever feel like I totally belonged. I was a weird kid, and I was a little delusional. I was the girl like talking to herself a lot. And I always thank God for my delusions, because I think I made it happen for myself. I was performing concerts to nobody when I was 7, and, like taking bows before the piano saying, I wrote this song when I was 7 years old and I was going through a hard time. I just always wanted to be a performer. I just didn't think it was really an option for me. I remember I had written about 6 songs when I was like 12, and my stepmom knew that I wanted to be a singer, and I'd been talking about it, and she pointed to the TV and she was like, do you think there's anybody else like you? You're gonna have to lose weight, if you ever want to be competitive or to actually become a singer. So I just thought that the career was closed to me. I didn't have there was no possibility that I was going to be a performer, because I didn't fit in. It wasn't for me. So I decided I was going to be a music teacher, which also made me happy. I taught cello and voice and piano in high school and in college. And I still continued to write and perform, but I just didn't take it really seriously. I think I really internalized a lot of that shame that seemed to be so prevalent for everybody else, and especially in my family. And I got involved in spoken word, and spoken word was really my entry point into, connecting with people and learning more. Like, I wouldn't call them radical ideas, but I guess to everybody else, they're radical ideas. Like, fat people deserve equal access and treatment and respect. Yeah. So I competed and did slam poetry for a couple years, and I just became immersed, and I just fell in love with the community and with the craft and with storytelling and vulnerability. I think when I was songwriting, I felt like I had to really condense or make digestible my trauma or things that I needed to heal from in order to make it make sense to other people. And when I started writing poetry, I was like, oh, I can just say fuck. Like, I can just say whatever I want. It was really powerful. And I had some great mentors. Denise Jolly was in Seattle at the time. And Denise Jolly and Sonia Renee Taylor were just like so pivotal for me, like great mentors to just witness people talking about their bodies and writing gorgeous work with it. Rachel Wiley, Rachel McGibbons, there's just so many great poets that I think they're leaders in this space. And I don't think it's a mistake that they're poets. I think when we think about language and what words we use to assign to ourselves, there's a lot of power that can come out of that. And honestly, so in the hip hop community and the spoken word community, I felt like we're somewhat intertwined. And I met Macklemore through a couple mutual friends. And at the time I'd been writing a lot of spoken word about being Christian and being queer, and this feeling of like I didn't belong. And so that's the rest is history, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to a couple of those things. Before I do, I just want to remind our audience that when we are sharing our personal origin stories as fat people, that often involves a lot of trauma directly related to our experience of weight discrimination, but also, there can be other things just in our personal trauma histories. So there might be some triggering content in this as Mary and I continue to talk, and I just want to encourage you all to be aware of that and to take care of yourselves as audience members as you need to. And so I guess what I want to go back to is, well, so you and I know that this moment of coming into a creative project with Macklemore is a really important turning point in your career. But can you orient folks who don't know the world of hip hop or don't know Macklemore? Like, who is he? What did that mean? And how did that shift your life from the performing you were doing into a different kind of, different kinds of career opportunities as an entertainer?
Totally. Macklemore was pretty well known in that he was on the cover of the freshman class. That's what they call the freshman XL. It was like this, it's a hip hop like special thing that happens. I was not really familiar with hip hop when I agreed to do the song. And I kind of was like, do I practice writing or do I it took some time for me to feel like I could really fit in or understand, the art form. And once I realized that it was so similar to spoken word and these were, people that I'd been around and experienced things with, it was just such a beautiful thing. But Macklemore wrote the song Thrift Shop, and he had the album The Heist did very well. And when they called me to do the song, they were looking for a perspective of somebody who is queer and Christian. And we thought it was going to be kind of a big song for Washington State because it was in the middle of the Music for Marriage Equality. I think it was referendum 74. It was at the time that states were slowly passing gay marriage before it was legalized federally.
And what year was this, Mary? And how old were you when this happened in your life?
This would have been 2012, and I was 23. And when I first heard the track, I felt like I understood why I was still alive. Do you know what I mean? Like I had attempted suicide when I was in high school, and I remember having this thought in the back of my head, like, you have to stick around, like there's something that you need to do. And it's like I got that call and I listened to the song and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I'm supposed to do this. Like, I just felt like it was a very divine moment. And the song just took a life of its own. So we ended up performing it on Ellen DeGeneres. We did it on the Colbert Show. We performed it at the Grammys. I did a duet with Jennifer Hudson at the VMAs. We got a VMA, and then I sang a duet with Madonna. It was just, it changed so, my life changed so dramatically and so quickly over the course of that year. So it was between about like 2013 and 2014 where was the bulk of all of this happening.
Okay, I feel like I have two questions. One, I'm curious to know, like, were you already working around political organizing or anything like that around marriage equality? Like, I know you're queer yourself, but like, did you have an involvement in that as a political part of your life? That's my first question. And then my second question is, I feel like people in this audience are going to be really mad at me if I don't ask you to talk a little bit more about what it meant to perform with Madonna. Let's do the politics first, and then a little bit more of the fandom of fan experience by proxy for the Madonna fans who want to hear that from you.
Totally. Well, I think there were two things that happened right before I wrote Same Love. It was I was attending a church that was not affirming, and I was starting to feel really depressed again. And I don't know why I decided to go to church that wasn't affirming. That was a choice I made. And I was asked to write a worship song, and I sat down to write this worship song, and I just felt skeezy. I just felt like this is not God. Like, I don't feel connected to this at all. And then it was close to Pride, and I had a friend that asked, can you write a song for Pride? And I sat down to write that. And I was just like, I don't know what to say. And I don't know how I want to say it. And the stakes feel too high. And it was the same sort of thing where it didn't feel like it was coming from an organic place. And so when Same Love fell into my lap, I was like, this is it. This is the thing that I've been wanting to write. And I guess it's just about love. It's just this thing that I want to do. But I had been working 3 jobs, and I desperately wanted to do, I was talking to a few friends about doing a phone bank to help pass Referendum 74. I had, when I was 19, I got to, I was a delegate for Obama in my caucus. So I got to really participate politically there. So I was like so excited to be politically active. And the only thing I could really say is that I was just like in a lot of Facebook arguments, which I don't know how helpful it was, but I think that was the thing, is like, I wanted to be more politically active, but I didn't really know how, and I didn't have as much time because I was working so much. So it really felt like, oh, this is something that I can do in this pursuit of marriage equality. So yeah, that's where that kind of came from. Oh, okay. And then the Madonna. So we had about 2 or 3 rehearsals with Madonna in LA. And basically there were a lot of moving parts because it was the Grammys production, it was Madonna's team, it was Macklemore and Ryan's team, and then it was me and like my team. And when we went into the first rehearsals, we kind of were like, let's figure this out together. And so they really she goes by Madge. So I'm like, I call her Miss Donna, but I feel like I shouldn't do that.
I was going to say Madge. And I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to.
But it was really neat to just collaborate, to be like, what sounds best. And I just remember there was this moment where she's like, okay, well, how do you sing this last part? And I was like, I was singing the end, and she was like mirroring my vocal delivery. And I was like, this isn't happening. It's just like, this is so wild. I was like, the prerequisite of like, doing this is like bartending for 2 years. Like, this doesn't make any sense. It was just a really beautiful process. And I think a moment that really stands out was we were doing the dress rehearsal, and I had a really hard time in all of the previous rehearsals of not crying, because it was just such a beautiful experience. And there was this huge choir like singing this song that I wrote, and hearing them sing, I was just like, this is absolutely bonkers. And we had, there were 33 couples that were going to get married. And I knew as soon as I saw the couples that I was going to lose it. I was going to be in big trouble. So we were in the dress rehearsal, the couples come in, and I just lose it. I'm like sobbing as I'm singing. And, at this point, we were trying something where Madge was on one side and I was on the other, and then we were just going to sort of meet together and sing the duet. And toward the end of it, after the couples came through and I was crying, she came over to me and she wiped the tears off of my face. And it was just so sweet and tender in this moment of like, oh, we're doing something really beautiful and powerful here. And this is actually bigger than any of our egos or our teams. Like, this is actually just a meaningful moment that we get to be a representative of, It was cool.
What did you hear from people in community about the meaning of that song to them?
Oh, I mean, it was wide and also universal. The thing that I hear the most is like, I heard it on the radio and I had to pull over. I mean, I feel like we probably caused like at least 100 accidents. Like, that's what I wonder might have happened. But I think in retrospect, I think when people talk about Same Love or they talk about Macklemore, I think there's this air of like, it's kind of cheesy, or, like come on, do we really need something like that? And just at the time, it was not that way. It was not cheesy. It was, we were receiving death threats, and the Westboro Baptist Church was picketing, calling me a nasty dyke. And, it was, I got a will, before I left for tour. Like I thought for sure, like, this is it. This is going to be it for me. And so there was some fear there, and it was a different time. I mean, I feel like we're walking backwards anyway, so I don't know how different it is now. But yeah, it was tricky. It was kind of scary.
What about how has that changed, or has that changed now? Like, it's a different time, but you're still an openly queer performer.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing stuff that are you doing things that interact with the Christian music space, or are you mostly in the pop music space?
Well, I just finished composing for a film called 1946, which is about the first time the word homosexual entered the Bible. So I wrote some songs for the film, and then I did the film composition for it. That's my degree is in composition. So being able to really work on that project has been super powerful. And we're doing sort of the film festival circuit right now. It'll be at Outfest, I think, honestly, in a couple days in LA. And they're looking for distribution right now too. So, but it's a really good experience. And to keep sort of engaging with that part of my identity, I think where this new wave of anti-trans sentiment and deep transphobic, deep homophobic, this weird idea that we're all demons or something is just so scary. And it comes from that same place. It comes from that place of the unknown is a sin. And if we can start to debunk that and also say, you can't demonize somebody when you see their humanity. So I will force you to see my humanity over and over again. And I feel the same, like, I feel that the pull to do that same thing in fat activist spaces. You can't demonize me when you see me talking about it. And I think being able to show both ends of it, the joy and also the struggle, what all the complexity of being in a fat body, or the complexity of being queer. Our stories are important and valuable, and being able to talk about them in a vulnerable way, it's the only thing that's worked for me. And I think I also don't have an off switch for my vulnerability. I don't know how to not share everything.
Yeah. That must make really beautiful connections for you with your audience, but also must make boundaries with your audience more challenging.
That's true. Yeah, I think one thing I love when I talk to my spouse, Wyatt, about like my shows, I really appreciate that they'll say, I was so surprised when I went to the first show I went to of yours, after we got together, you're exactly the same person on stage as you are in real life. There's no persona, and I think when you do have a persona, you get to have a really clear boundary about who you are and what you want to protect. But the great thing about my audience and about, fans of my work are that they understand what I'm talking about, and they're sensitive to, they want to protect me too. Like there's this feeling of like, they're not going to cross the line because they have experienced such similar things as well. So I feel like it is like a kind of community. And when I go on tour, I do shows, it really does feel like this kind of group therapy that we're all just like crying and healing and laughing. And it feels like a night of safe magic,
I was thinking as I was listening to some of your music before today, just that it feels like you would have been part of the sort of like Lilith Fair circuit if you had just been like a few years earlier, or maybe a lot of years earlier, depending on how you feel about the passage of time, Gen Xers. But I wonder, I feel like there are different sort of segments of the music industry where it can be at least a little bit more accepting to not be in a sort of music industry body. But I wonder what your experience has been in various, because you've, had overlap with hip hop, you've been in pop, you've been in the dance world, you've been, have overlap with, again, some of the like, Christian audiences and stuff because of your musical content. Like, where does the body stuff fit in? And like, what have you been challenged by or pleasantly surprised by about being a larger bodied person in the industry?
Yeah, I was actually really surprised when I signed with Capitol Records. I'm no longer with them, but I was really, it was really exciting. The A&R that signed me, Eshawn Bolden, part of why he signed me was because he loved Body Love, this song poem that I had released. And he really fought for, let's make a music video for this. Like, let's do a campaign for this. There wasn't really a budget for it, but he really pushed for it. And I felt really supported in my full identity. And I think that's also because I wasn't just accepted. My identity wasn't just accepted in the process of doing Same Love. It was sought after. They were really looking for a specific kind of person with a specific kind of experience and identity. And so I never knew how to turn any of that off. I couldn't be selective about what I wanted to share or talk about. So anytime somebody was working with me, they knew the deal. Like, this is just what it's going to look like. I did run into some pushback as my star grew, I guess. I had more people invested at the record label that, wanted a little bit more control and to steer the direction of the ship, particularly in regard to like radio promotion and marketing and things like that. And I made it was a really strong point that I had in any performance I gave that I wanted to perform Body Love. And I would have pushback a lot of the time, especially from the radio people. They say, this is not a radio song. Please can you not perform Body Love? And I would always say, okay, you're right. And then I'd get on stage and I'd perform Body Love and I would have everyone mad at me. But I was like, I can't look out and see people who I know are having a difficult time in their bodies, feeling comfortable. I can't look at them and let them down. Like, they need to know this. This is my gospel, and you're in my church, and we're gonna talk about it because it has been such a powerful thing for me to lessen the amount of shame, the anvil of shame that has been, on my body and my brain and my sexuality for as long as I can remember. This feeling of liberation is unbelievably joyful. And if I can encourage somebody else to feel more at home in their body just by my example or just by a song, I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm going to do that as much as I possibly can. But I definitely did. I mean, there's a reason I'm not on a major label anymore. Like, I just couldn't play by the rules. And I think that's fair. My team was Katy Perry's team. So they were like, I think they were hoping that it would be kind of that I would be able to do that. And I just was like, I can't do what she does. And I don't know if I want to, So that was that experience.
A different kind of artist. And I do think that sort of like there is maybe a little bit more room when you're in that singer-songwriter space, where at least there's a little bit more respect for what you do beyond the sort of visuals of what you do, like as a performer. So I do wonder if, people who are in, in the industry, that in different kinds of spaces. I mean, like we all know, it's impossible to talk about the music industry without at least making some reference to Lizzo. And like we all know what kind of pushback Lizzo gets.
Yes.
You do a very different kind of music and concert than what a Lizzo concert would be. What is your what has the fan reaction or the, or people newly discovering you, their reaction to Body Love been like?
Oh, it's just like a sob fest. It's just like, it's a breaking open of each other. And I'm so glad you mentioned Lizzo, because I feel like she's just done so much for our community. And I feel like sometimes it's like this thankless work where it is one thing to just be a performer and be out in the world and have the identity you do and have that sort of be enough. And of course that's enough. But the fact that she is constantly talking about fatness and her body and joy and like liberation and intersectionality is so like, it's so moving. Like her activism is so moving. And she's just on stage, just giving it to you. And it's such a beautiful experience to just witness. I haven't been able to go to a show, but it's just what she's able to do as a performer is, it's just so inspiring. I'm just so inspired by her. And I think when I perform Body Love, I definitely experience this. I feel like I'm holding everybody, and we're going on a journey together. And I get to be a steward of healing for them. And I am not the healing, but this experience might be the catalyst for some healing for people. And there's a reason. Usually when I'm after a show, I almost immediately either start crying or just fall asleep. I'm spent, because I've emotionally, like, I feel the tendrils of my emotion, like, with everybody in the room. And so I feel like we all had a shared experience together. It's a really powerful, it's out of body, truly. Yeah.
I want to ask a question that has come up from the audience. And the question is, how do we reconcile the folks who, for example, celebrate Lizzo and her self-love while also loving Melissa McCarthy in the Fat Girl as the Brunt of the Joke movies? So rather than focus specifically on those two artists, I'm going to expand on that question just a little bit and ask you just to talk about sort of like fat and the meaning of celebrity and how we as fans have hopes about celebrities, but also how you as an artist and as a celebrity experience that sort of like expectation from fans that you do things a certain way because of the body that you're in.
Yeah. When I released She Keeps Me Warm, I wanted to make sure that I was in a romantic scene, having a romantic role in the body that I have. And part of the reason for that was that I had never seen a music video like that before. And I wanted to see one. And I didn't care who was it. I just wanted to make sure it was a fat person. And I was scared when we released the music video, not as much for homophobic comments, but about fatphobic comments, about having people comment on my body. And I remember as I spent more time, no shade to Los Angeles, but it's just like, if you spend like a lot of time there as a fat person, it's just, there's some challenges. And maybe it's going back and forth between places, but I just had a lot of challenges in the industry, going through that. And we were doing another music video, and I had a talk with the music video director afterwards, who said, "Do you want any post editing done to your body?" And I was really confused. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, but anywhere between, if you want to spend $10,000 to about $50,000, if you're uncomfortable with the part of your body, we can have it shaved down, or we can change it in the video. It's expensive, but if you want that, we can do that for you. And he was like, my last client had, paid about $40,000 to have her chin shaved down because she was uncomfortable with it. And it broke my heart when I heard it. And I also understood. Whenever I think about what choices celebrities are making, influencers are making, artists are making, I really think about the conditions and the environment of all of it. We're all subject to the same kind of hostility, and we all have to make those really difficult decisions. And not everybody has the luxury of feeling empowered. Do you know what I mean? I think there are people that really, the insecurity and the self-hatred is so deep that they're just looking for a way to survive and move through the world. I like to think that people who are in the public eye have probably, hopefully, a bit more resources where they have the luxury to maybe challenge these things a bit more and say, like, every choice I make is an opportunity to uplift somebody else or help be visible to another facet of my identity, to the community that I'm a part of. So I try to think about that. Even like dressing for a red carpet, I'm like, I don't want to be so critical of every choice I make that, like, maybe I want to wear this long sleeve one because I think it's pretty. I'm not trying to hide anything. So I don't want to go so far in the other direction where I'm, picking specific silhouettes because I'm trying to hide something. I mean, there's just so much to think about constantly. And I think fat people are used to being surveilled all the time and policed for food choices, for the way they're dressing, for what they're doing, that I think we apply that to fat celebrities as well. And I think it's really tricky and hard for a lot of people. There's this really great quote from Jen Richards in that film Disclosure about transphobia throughout time in film and TV. And Jen says, if there were just more representation, the occasional clunky depiction of someone in my community wouldn't hurt as bad because there would be more of it. And that's the way I think of fat celebrity and fat artists and shows. I feel like when Shrill came out, there was so much pressure on, like, it had to be exactly the right thing. And I wonder if, Lizzo feels that same sort of way, like the pursuit of perfection, because the weight of all of the communities that you represent are looking to you to be an example. And that's a lot to carry. But then, like, Survival of the Thickest just came out with Michelle Buteau, who's like one of my favorites. And I'm like, there's more. It's happening. The needle is moving. It's slow, but it's moving. And I believe it. I think we just have to fight for it more,
Yeah. And it sounds like maybe for you, seeing people make choices that are different than the ones that you would make just inspires you more to sort of like double down on representation in the ways that you want to see it.
Yes. It's really, it's important to me. I think as I've gotten older, I realize how formative it was just to see, like, for example, in that She Keeps Me Warm music video, a friend of a friend showed up to be an extra in the film, Kim Selling. And when we showed up to shoot, Kim was fat and was wearing a crop top. And I was like, I kind of, after we filmed, I was like, is she allowed to do that? Can she, to myself, I was like, I feel like she probably can't, because I can't do that. We can't do that. And it was just seeing somebody do something a little bit out of the ordinary or out of the norm that unlocked something for me. And when I realized that you could do that on a grander scale if you have a wider reach. So you have such a responsibility with the platform, and you have a responsibility to people that are supporting you to help push the needle, to help make things better. Otherwise, like, why? Everything else to me is just feeding the ego. And of course I love applause, and I do have a big ego, but I wouldn't be able to sleep at night without feeling like it was for deeper, greater purpose.
Right. Well, and of course, like if we ever get the opportunity, we will ask both Lizzo and Melissa McCarthy these questions themselves, because, you know, everybody has a different experience of their job, but also of the, you know, like being a celebrity, being a role model, being expected to be that. And of course, folks who have multiple marginalized identities are having a very different experience from people who are fat but have a lot of privilege in other ways. And so like there's a wide mix of this, but it's great to hear your thoughts on it. I want to ask you like 1,000 more questions, but I want to make sure we have time for you to sing. So is there anything I didn't ask you that you really want to talk about before you pick up your instruments?
No, I think that's all. That's great. I do want to mention, my workshop is closing down because I'm working on my next album, but you know, a lot of the stuff I like to talk about in my like Everybody is a Babe workshop, because I feel like it is so, you can't talk about like body shame and body insecurity without fatness and without fat bodies at the center of it, you know? And, so I've learned so much from like incredible scholars and people that have, when we opened the room and Marilyn Wan was here, I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's so cool. That's really neat. Like, it's just, there are so many people that I look up to that, you know, have come before. And I just hope to propel this work in any way, any art form I can. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Marilyn is saying in the chat, woohoo for you. So thank you, Marilyn, and hi, everyone else in the chat. All right, I'm going to silence myself and Mary, let you say anything you want to say about your songs and sing them for us. Thank you for offering us that.
The only thing is, I can share. Okay, I'm going to see if I can just share sound and see if this will go. Okay, can you guys hear? Oh wait, can you see? I'm screen sharing. Oops. Okay, wait. I'm just going to do share sound. Oh, computer audio. There we go. Okay. You all saw my desktop. Okay, can you hear that okay? Is it too loud?
Yeah. Sounds good. Audience, sounds good?
Okay, I'm going to try to sing at the same time as this. I just want to make sure I get my... Okay, I feel like we've been talking about it, so I just wanted to... She says I smell like safety and home. I named both of her eyes, forever and please don't go. I could be a morning sunrise all the time, yeah. This could be good, this could be good. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm, she keeps me warm. What's your middle name? Do you hate your job? Do you fall in love too easily? What's your favorite word? Do you like kissing girls? Can I call you baby? Yeah, yeah. She says that people stare 'cause we look so good together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm, she keeps me warm, she keeps me warm. I'm not crying on Sundays, I'm not crying on Sundays, I'm not crying on Sundays, no. My love, my love, my love, my love, they keep me warm, they keep me warm. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's She Keeps Me Warm, and I wanted to do a song poem. I wanted to do Body Love because it was so integral to my relationship as an artist and my relationship to performing and my connection with the audience as well. Yeah, and I'm just hoping, is the singing and playing at the same time working? I have it. Okay. I just want to make sure it's going through. Okay.
Everything's coming through just fine. Thank you.
Okay, good. And there is some swearing in this. This is a pretty heavy song poem. I mentioned self-harm and eating disorders and violence. Okay. I know girls who are trying to fit into the social norm, like squeezing into last year's prom dress. I know girls who are low-rise, MAC eyeshadow, and binge drinking. I know girls that wonder if they're disaster and sexy enough to fit in. Playing Russian roulette with death, it's never easy to accept that our bodies are fallible and flawed. But when do we draw the line? When the knife hits the skin, isn't it the same thing as purging? Because we're so obsessed with death. Some women just have more guts than others. The funny thing is, women like us don't shoot. We swallow pills, still wanting to be beautiful at the morgue, still proceeding to put on makeup, still hoping that the mortician finds us fuckable and attractive. We might as well be buried with our shoes and handbags and scarves. Girls, we flirt with death every time we etch a new tally mark into our skin. I know how to split my wrist to reveal a battlefield too, but the time has come for us to reclaim our bodies. Our bodies deserve more than to be war-torn and collateral, offering this fuckdom as a pathetic means to say, I only know how to exist when I am wanted. Girls like us are hardly ever wanted, you know. We're used up and sad and drunk and perpetually waiting by the phone for someone to pick up and tell us that we did good. Well, you did good. I know I am because I said I am. I know I am because I said I am. I know I am because I said I My body is home. My body's my own. My body is home. Try this. Take your hands over your bumpy love body naked. Remember the first time you touched someone with the sole purpose of learning all of them. Touch them because the light was pretty on them, and the dust and the sunlight danced the way your heart did. Touch yourself with a purpose. Your body is the most beautiful royal. Fathers and uncles are not claiming your knife anymore, are not your razor. Put the sharpness back. Lay your hands flat and feel the surface of scarred skin. I once touched a tree with charred limbs. The stump was still breathing, but the tops were just ashy remains. I wonder what it's like to come back from that, because sometimes I feel forest fires erupting from my wrists and the smoke signals sent out of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. They're singing. I know I am because I said I am. I know I am because I said I am. I know I am because I said I am. I am. I am. Love your body the way your mother loved your baby feet. And brother, arm wrapping shoulders, remember this is important. You are worth more than who you fuck. You are worth more than a waistline. You are worth more than beer bottles displayed like drunken artifacts. You are worth more than any naked body could proclaim in the shadows, more than a man's whim or your father's mistake. You are no less valuable as a size 16 than a size 4. You are no less valuable as a 32A than a 36C. Your sexiness is defined by concentric circles within your wood. It's wisdom. You are a goddamn tree stump with leaves sprouting out. Reborn. Okay. I want to share with y'all my next single that's coming out. Yeah, let's just take a moment. Sometimes I just need to take a moment after that. Sometimes I'm like, let's just go on through. No, but I sometimes it's in this heart place, you know? Thank you for going there with me, everyone. I mean, I feel like this is part of the process of live shows too, is like I have to feel safe in order to be able to to go to that place when I perform, and I felt really safe here, so I really appreciate that. Thank you all for supporting me too, and being vulnerable too. This is my next song. I'm so excited about this. I don't know what I'm doing with the actual song and the recording, but the song is called The Tempest. Okay, and I've only performed it like live once, so we'll see how I do. Through hell on my own 2 feet. I saw the devil and the devil saw me. I don't cry no more, I bare my teeth. I'm coming for you, only dead men sleep. I was 9 years old when I got catcalled. My mama said, it's not your fault. These are quiet things we don't talk about. In the heat of summer, the wolves come out. I sing to keep my spirits safe. The wind, the sea, the hurricane. How many times the boat did break? I'm a tough motherfucker and no dead man wake. Don't deny me. It's not your body. Don't deny me. It's not your body. It's not your body. I was 16 when I learned to cut my throat just to give my voice to a bad man's joke. I'm a shell of a woman, but I'm not alone. But coming for you from every coast. I was born in a tempest, violently. They did what they did, but they couldn't break me. I'm a woman with a grudge for my sanity. I made it this long by the skin of my teeth. I sing to keep my spirit safe. The wind, the sea, the hurricane. How many times the boat did break? I'm a tough motherfucker and no dead man wake. Don't deny me. It's not your body. Don't deny me. It's not your body. It's not your body. Vapid, dumb, cruel, hysterical, vapid, dumb, shrill, hysterical, vapid, dumb, shrill, hysterical, vapid, dumb, shrill, hysterical, vapid, dumb, shrill, hysterical. Go ask your captor if it's just a magic trick. There's no mistaking it. Pain is the point of it. I never asked to be somebody's enemy. I guess freedom means you get to kill by policy. Don't deny me. It's not your body. Don't deny me. It's not your body. I'm sweating so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for blessing our community with this, with all of this music, but especially this piece that is so vulnerable and that you have not had a chance to test with lots of other audiences. It's really an honor for us to be able to hold space for you to share your gift. And we are so grateful to have had you join us today and share your thoughts and your talents and your story. And we look forward to a long friendship between our NAAFA community and Mary Lambert. So we expect to hear more from you and support you in lots of other ways. Tell everyone where they can find you if they want to see more of your work.
Yes, and I am so excited to have met you, Tigress, and to be more involved in the community is something I've really been wanting to, and I just really appreciate you being so warm and welcoming and inviting me to perform today and to speak today. It really means a lot. I want to do y'all proud. And you can find me mostly post on Instagram at Mary Lambert Sing. My website is marylambertsings.com. You can find my merchandise there. You can find my workshop. You can find all of the other things I do, my poetry, and I have a book out called Shame is an Ocean I Swim Across, of poetry, and I'm working on my next album now. And who knows what will happen.
Yes. And of course, we will see you as we continue to do some of our legislative work through the Campaign for Size Freedom. We want to thank once again our friends and colleagues at Pro Bono ASL for providing that kind of accessibility support during today's session, and our hardworking behind the scenes folks, Julianne and Darlene from our administrative team, and Betty from Foolish Tree Films, who helps make these webinars ready for YouTube later. Please do stay tuned for upcoming events from NAAFA. As I said, we've got a Drag Story Hour summer virtual brunch coming up still in July, and then August will be jam-packed with lots and lots of virtual events that we'll be telling you more about soon. Thank you for being with us, everybody, and for supporting the NAAFA Webinar Series. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.